Now it's time to start with the JavaScript part of the BMI calculator application. So for that we need to use the script.js file, and this file is already linked inside the index.html with this particular line of the code which is script tag, and inside of that we have specified the source script.js file. Now coming back to the script.js file, and inside of that first we need to get the ID of this particular form, and then we need to add the listener, and then we need to listen to the submit event. So first I'm going to type the code, then I will be explaining you in more detail. So document.getElementById. So here we need to specify the ID of the form element, which is this BMI form. So I'm going to copy the ID, and here I will be specifying the ID name. Then we need to add the event listener. So we want to listen to the submit event. So inside the single quotes I'm going to specify here submit event. That is this one, and we are actually going to here pass a one function with the parameter e. So this e parameter is actually having a purpose here. So inside of this e we are actually going to call here a prevent default. So this actually used to actually stop the default behavior of the browser when we click on the submit button, because by default when we listen the submit button, whenever we fill up the entire data, if I click on the submit, then the page will be refreshed and navigate to the different page. This is a default behavior. So in order to stop that default behavior, we need to provide this function which is e.prevent_default. Alright, so this particular line of the code does what? So it's actually first fetching the ID of the form, then we are setting the listener, and then we are actually listening to the submit event listener, and then we are actually passing the function. Inside of that we are calling this e.prevent_default, which actually basically stop the page to be refreshed. And after that we need to actually get the IDs of all of these particular HTML elements. So for that we need to create lots of constants. So here I will be using the const. So this is going to be like gender. So this is actually like document.getElementById, because we have specified the IDs inside of these all input elements. You can see ID age, ID gender, and ID like these height, feet, and inches. So that is the reason we are actually here using the get element by ID, and inside of that we need to pass here a gender, which is the ID of the first element, gender. Okay, and then we need to here pass the dot value, because we want to get the values from these input elements. So that is the reason we need to actually pass here a value. If we don't specify a value, then we actually getting the entire tag name, like this entire select tag will be initialized to this particular gender variable. Okay, so that is what we actually want to do. So the next thing is we need to actually get the value of the age. So we need to again create here another const, which is age equals to, and then here we need to use the parseInt function, because by default whenever we get the value of the HTML elements, we are actually getting the string values. So that is the reason we need to wrap this entire code inside the parseInt function. So here inside of that we need to pass the document.getElementById, and then we need to specify here a ID. So the ID of the age is age. Alright, so here inside the single quotes I will be specifying the age, and then we need to here pass the dot value, and then we need to terminate that particular parseInt function. Okay, so if we don't use here a parseInt, then we are getting the inappropriate values, because by default whenever we get the values from the HTML input form elements, then it is going to be treated as a string. Actually it's give the value in a form of string. So we need to convert that string value into integer, because we are working with the age number, which is a single entity number. So that is our reason, or I can say that the positive natural number. So that is the reason we have used here a parseInt. Similarly, I am going to duplicate it into 3 more times, because this one is for the height in feet. So here I will be using the height, and I am going to use here a camel case typing, and this is going to be like height in inches, and this one is for the weight. Okay, and then we need to change the corresponding ID values. So the age is done. Then we need to provide the height feet ID. So the second one is for the height feet ID. Then we need the height inches ID. So I'm going to copy the height inches ID. I'm just using here a copy paste because I don't want to make any mistake. Also, I'm actually recording a tutorial, so that is the reason I'm using here a copy paste of the ID names. Okay, so now all of the IDs are fetched with proper % function conversion. Now there is a one thing, instead in this particular weight one, we are going to use here a float, because a weight can be in a form of point, or also we have a value of the BMI will also be coming in a form of decimal. If I can enter here a value like female, enter here like no, age is not like this number, you can add a check here. It's totally up to you how we want to add a check, calculate it, and then you can see it's actually giving us a point based value. I can say that the float value. So that is the reason I have used here a parse float. So we are getting whatever value we are getting it, we are converting it into a float. Okay, so the next step is we need to check whether all of these values are entered. If all of these values are not entered, we don't want to actually calculate the BMI calculator. This is the one. This will be the final version of the application. This is the one that we are actually developing in this entire module. So for that we need to add here a condition. Also inside the HTML part we have added the required field, but still inside the JavaScript we want to add a check for the condition. Then all of these values are entered, then we are going to perform the BMI logic. Also you can see input type I have specified here a number, but still I have used here a parseInt function. Although we are getting the numeric value, but still there may be a chance that that value will be treated as a string value. I already explained you that why we use the parseInt function here. And then inside of that, coming back to the logic part, we are going to specify the if condition, and then we need to start the if block. So inside of that, first we need to check whether the gender is gender, then and operator, and then we are going to use the age. If all of these values, then height in feet is this one. So if all of these values are entered, then we want to actually execute the if block. So now we have to add here variables. We are going to calculate the height first, and then we are going to calculate the BMI, and then we are going to fetch the result element IDs. Inside of that we will display the result by updating its inner HTML. So let me first type the code, then I will be explaining you. So first we are going to create here a variable which is height, and I can say that the height in meters. Okay, so we need to convert the height into meters. Because why I'm saying the height in meters, because we are providing the height into two different formats. Means we are providing height into height in feet and height in inches. So first we need to convert the height into inches, which is this feet one. Then we need to add these two values. So that is the reason I have added here height in meters, and after adding the height feet value which is converted into inches, and also the height inches which is this one, then we need to convert it into by multiplying with our value into meters. So I'm going to type the code, then I will be explaining you what I will be saying here, then it will become more clear to you. So first I have added here these kinds of brackets, the height in feet. So first we are going to convert the height in feet into inches by multiplying it with the value 12, and then we are going to add it with the height in inches which is providing by with this particular variable. So now we have converted the height into inches, and after that we need to multiply this value 0.0254, which is an approximate value like 0.0254 meters in an inch. So in 1 inch this particular value exists. So we are going to multiply this with the entire inches value, then we are getting the height in meters. If I enter here a comment, height in meters. Okay, so after getting the height in meters, then we need to add a logic to calculate the BMI, which is a body mass index. So body mass index is actually based on the weight. So here we need to get the value of the weight which is we will get with the use of this particular variable, which is weight, and then we need to divide this particular value with the square of the height in meters. So height in meters, so make sure we don't use the height feet and height inches values while calculating the BMI, because we calculate the height in meters. So height in meters multiply height in meters, because the body mass is actually based on the fat of the person, which is the weight divided with the square of the height. So then we will get the BMI value. Alright, so this will give us a BMI value, and after that we need to actually get the result, which is the result element, which is this particular element, that is this one. So we need to actually get the value of this result element. So result element I have named the variable, then document.getElement by ID, because we have used the ID selector, so that is the reason. So we are actually fetching the values, so that is the reason I have used here a result instead, and I don't use a dot value because we want to display the result, but also we want to display the category, because right now in the final version of the application you can see we have the category value. So according to the value of the BMI, we want to display the category as well. You can check the value of the BMI variable by just console log the statement. I don't want to do that because I know that this will calculate the BMI, because I already tested the logic. So here I will be using let category, because we want to display the category also, whether the overweight, normal weight, or like underweight. These are the categories we want to display. Alright, so if we want going to perform here some conditions, if BMI is actually smaller than 18.5, then we want to display the category value. So it is a category is actually equal to, we want to display it underweight. So this will be the first value that we want to display. So if it is not okay, then we are going to perform here else if block, else if condition, and we want to check it whether the BMI value is greater than or equal to 18.5. So if it is that a case, and also we want to check for the AND operator BMI, if it is smaller than 24.9, then we want to update the value of the category variable to like normal weight, and here we also need to actually provide the underweight. Alright, and if it is not a case, then we also want to provide the another else if condition, not escape, else if condition, then BMI value. So BMI, if it is greater than equal to 25 and BMI value is smaller than 29.9, if it is that a case, then we want to update the value of the category variable to overweight. So this will be overweight. In the else part, we want to display obsess, which is a category, obsess, which is, I think I pronounced it right, which is like OBECE. Alright, so this will be the category value will be updated on the basis of the BMI value that we will receive according to these particular inputs. After that, once we get the category, we get the BMI, it's time to display the result by updating the inner HTML of the result element. So here we need to actually create another variable, which is result message. Result message is equal to, so first we need to construct the full message. So that is the reason I will be using here a single quotes, your BMI, and then I need to concatenate it. So to concatenate, we will be using a plus, because plus can be used to concatenate the value. So here I will be using the 2 fixed, so that after the float value I will get only 2 decimal point values. So here I will be using the 2 fixed 2. It is not too much difficult, you can just simply Google it if you don't know about 2 fixed. It is a very simple. Then I will be adding here a BR tag, so that the category will be displayed in the next line. Alright, and then again I will be using here a result. So here actually I forgot to add here a result. Actually I have added a result message. Then we need to add the plus, and then we also need to initialize it. So whatever previous value, the new value will be retained, and also the added the category, means the body mass index value alongside it was also going to have a category value. So it is like category, and then we need to provide here a column, and after that we need to again provide here a category value and terminate it, and after that at the end the result element value, which is the inner HTML dot inner HTML, and after that we need to provide the result message. Terminate that, control save it. Now the code of the entire BMI calculator is completed. If I enter here a value like male, if I enter a weight like 40, height like 4.9, like 4 feet and 9 inches, weight is going to like 40. If I click on calculate, then you can see normal weight for the male person. If it is the age of 40, if I like 22, click, then you can see still it's going to display the normal weight. Now we need to refresh the page for the female one. If I enter here another value like 55, height is like 5 and 9 inches, and if the weight is like 80, click on calculate, then you can see it's going to display the value which is like overweight, and the BMI value is 26.05. Again if I refresh it, and for the male one, if I enter here a 45, height in 5'6", if I enter here a like weight like 25, then you can see it's actually underweight. The BMI score is 8.90. Now the entire BMI calculator application is working fine. So if you have any problem, then you can use the Q&A section, or if you like this video or this entire module, then please leave a review, because your review definitely going to help me to reach more students. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next module. Thank you very much.